Hello my dear friends and welcome back to another Bad Batch Season 3 breakdown. Today we're looking at episode 12 Juggernaut. This was a fantastic birthday treat, because they just confirmed a major theory I posited just a few weeks ago, that one of the only ways I think the Bad Batch is going to find Tantiss is breaking out Admiral Rampart. He's obviously going to be very angry with the way Palpatine betrayed him in Season 2, and so I can't imagine he's too happy with the Imperial regime he once served. If you would have told me at the beginning of Season 2, after he killed Wilco, that he'd be working with the Batch, I would never have believed you, but circumstances are different, the galaxy has changed, and doing hard labor in a mining structure can really make you rethink your life. Not to mention your alliances once you've been betrayed. And the voice actor Nashir Dalal had been teasing something big for a couple of months, even though initially he said he wasn't sure he was going to return. Well, he certainly did, and Rampart's return came with an unexpected beard. But first things first, at the start of the episode, on a dark, ominous night, after turning herself in the most recent episode, Omega is brought back to Wayland and Mt Tantiss by clone CX-2, who I am more convinced than ever before is secretly Tech. Just like so many episodes in this season, this episode kept referencing him, and his impact is still very much felt. Crosshair tried to make Wrecker remember another one of his plans, Plan 55, and Fee Genoa clearly misses him too, still calling him Brown Eyes despite his death, and trusting Crosshair on the basis that he was Tech's brother and the fact that Tech must have mentioned him quite a few times, describing his quote sparkling personality with some degree of sarcasm. So the clone assassin CX-2 brings Omega back to Tantiss, and Hemlock is there to greet them. He rushes Omega to Emery, who in episode 10 Identity Crisis had a massive moment of realization that the work she's doing is causing harm and is way more immoral than she once believed. She missed her sister, but looks in great despair that Omega is back for her own safety, but she goes through the motions nonetheless. They test Omega's blood to make sure the first reading was right, and it was. It comes back positive, and Omega has the DNA for the perfect M-count replication, and at the end of the episode, she is introduced to the specimens, the young children with the high M-counts. Omega is then locked in, and told this is her new home. Hemlock explains to her in a candid fashion that M-counts can't be directly replicated. You can't just, for example, clone a Jedi and expect the duplicate to have the same M-count as the original. It doesn't work this way. So now Omega understands what's going on, and now she needs to find a way to escape. She was horrified, and knowing her level of empathy, I think she's going to prioritize their safety. And this is why I worry I think Omega is going to try to escape, and sacrifice everything including herself for the well-being of those kids. I guess we're just gonna have to wait and see. But back on Pabu, the Batch has regrouped after last week's debacle, and as you'd imagine my dear friends, the morale is pretty low. They're in a desperate situation very reminiscent of where they were before, and they need to find the coordinates to Tantiss. And this is when Crosshair thinks of something he had not mentioned until this point. That Rampart, the former Imperial Admiral who is now imprisoned, is someone who can help them. The only reason Crosshair didn't mention it sooner is because he categorically did not want to return under any circumstance. And when he says this, we see his hand tremor flare up again, and it's getting worse. The PTSD is really starting to affect him, and it's in that moment our favourite pirate Fee sneaks up on them and helps them with their mission. She paid a heavy price for the map of the labour camp they're going to on the planet of Erebus. That is where Rampart has been doing time. It's a really dramatic and tense episode, but when they catch up with Rampart, he's still got his sassy, stuck-up attitude, and he remembers Crosshair, and susses out the only reason they're not killing him is because they need something. Intel on the location of Tantiss. The Batch is able to successfully infiltrate the base, rescue Rampart if you want to call it that, and take him away from the prison, which was their end of the bargain. Rampart then tells them that while he himself doesn't know the exact location of Tantiss base, he does know a way they can get this information, and this is teasing and setting up next week's episode, episode 13, Into the Breach. They're probably going to have to infiltrate another Imperial facility, and for this, I can imagine them calling on the help of Echo and Rex. And with just 3 episodes to go, the mission to find Tantiss is the prison break style ending that early reviewers spoke about. Rampart is now part of their team. He values his freedom, and I'm sure he's going to have some choice words for Hemlock when they finally do arrive on Tantiss. And I suspect there are 2 possibilities. By the end of the season, he's a goner, or in the same way we saw Agent Callus do, join the rebellion and defect, having been mistreated by the Empire himself. The episode was really fun. I enjoyed it. We knew it was going to be more of an action kind of episode, rather than the introspective ones that we had in episodes 10 and 11. So I'm going to give this a 9 out of 10, and in the most recent TV spots we see the batch find Tantiss, and make their way through the jungle fighting stormtroopers. I was actually really surprised in a good way to see Rampart again. It's great to see a character from the first 2 seasons come back into the mix. And while it's not confirmed that he is going to defect, he is a major component of the Bad Batch's success in Omega's rescue and finding Tantiss. I always love the rare occasions when brainwashed Imperials turn good, when they get a taste of their own medicine and are pushed down by the same regime they swore to defend. He's a bit of a knob though. His elitism shows when he still uses Crosshair's codename instead of his first name, and he hated clones in the first season, and he's still got a bit of that prejudice. I wonder if that's going to change. Is he going to soften? And just to recap, during his time on Coruscant, after he destroyed Tapoka City in the first season, Rampart proposed the Imperial Defense Recruitment Bill, a package of legislation that would formalize the decommissioning of the clones, and the transition to a volunteer army of civilians who would serve as stormtroopers replacing the clone army. And Rampart did so much to try and pass it. His hatred of clones, mixed in with his superiority complex, are well documented, so the fact he has to work with clones in this final season is rather ironic. He's the last character I ever expected a redemption arc for, and as I say my dear friends, I'm still not convinced he's definitely going to get one, but it's certainly a first step in that kind of direction. During the final voting session, Ryo Chuchi brought forward the former Senator of Kamino, Halle Bertoni, to testify on Rampart's appropriation of the Finance Committee's funds. Rampart was using the funds to finance his war mantle bases, and then of course Bail Organa arrived with the commands log, which he presented before the Senate, solidifying their objections to the bill, and belief on Rampart's guilt concerning the destruction of Kamino. With all the evidence pointing against him, Mas Amedda had Rampart arrested by the Coruscant Guard, and forcibly had him removed. Palpatine, manipulating the situation, used Rampart's actions to garner support for the bill, but Rampart was branded a traitor and was arrested. And now my dear friends, the Bad Batch broke him out. Is he going to find the intel to get them to Tantiss? Rampart was such an important cog in the machine, and I think the way he was just disposed of really took him aback, and so that's why I think he's had a change of heart. That's just my opinion though. What do you guys think? And what did you think of episode 12 Juggernaut? Let me know your thoughts in the comments down below. Did you enjoy it? Did you dislike it? And if you enjoyed this breakdown, please be sure to give me a big fat thumbs up, subscribe if you're new, and I'll see you in the next video. May the Force be with you, always.